Now, this week, the literary world is mourning the death of legendary South African author Elsa Joubert. She was 97 and died due to COVID-19 related causes. Possibly best known for the book The Long Journey of Poppy Nongena, which was translated into 13 languages and most recently turned into an award-winning film. Let's reflect on her life now and her significant contribution to literature via Skype. Willie Berger joins us, Professor of Afrikaans Literature, Media and Cultural Studies at the University of Pretoria. Professor, good afternoon to you. Just very briefly, is it possible to quantify the contribution, the value that she brought not only just to Afrikaans literature, but to South African literature?
No, it's very difficult. And first of all, I mean, although she was 97 years old and it did not come really unexpected, it still feels, even today, for me, like we're that much poorer. And we're that much poorer, not only in the Afrikaans literary world, but I think all over South Africa, and I think even wider. You've mentioned Poppy Nongena as obviously probably the best known work, and it is such a well-known work for very good reasons. But what Elsa Joubert has always done, right from her very first work in the 1950s, early 60s, was travel writing. And the reason why she traveled, and she did not travel, like many Afrikaans authors, Andre Brink, Jan Rabie, and those guys, to Paris and to become part of that European world. She traveled into Africa on her own, a young woman, by boat, by train, traveled through Kenya, and with a boat following the whole Nile River to Cairo. And had many experiences that actually had a very big influence on her. And I think this is one of the reasons why her work has been dealing with the thing that we're all calling now post-colonialism, post-colonial literature, thinking about the position of white people in Africa, people of European descent living in Africa. How do you do that? And that was the stuff that she's been grappling with right from the early part of her career. But like she wrote in one of those very first travel literature books, she ended the book with a sentence, the longest journey that anybody can undertake, is from one human being to another, through the heart. And I think that is exactly what she's been describing, what she's been trying to look at in all her work, is that long journey from one human being to another, and that journey that goes through the heart. And that, on the one hand, I think is what makes her work so very human, and it gives it a much wider, powerful impact than just on South Africa or even South African literature.
Professor, I wonder if I could ask you why Poppy itself was such an important book, such an important piece of literature.
I think a few things happened at the same time. The one is that she was one of the first people in South Africa that sort of used this mixture of fact and fiction, a sort of new journalism style that she introduced. And that was, just from a literary point of view, a new way of writing. On the other hand, I think what she did with Poppy, first of all, for the Afrikaans readers that she wrote for, was many people, white people, were not aware or pleaded not to be aware of really thinking about the impact of apartheid legislation on people on the other side, on the side that they never even thought about. Many of these people didn't even know what the surname of their domestic servants were. And here was a very minute description of what it is to experience apartheid from the other side, in Afrikaans, by somebody who can express herself the best in Afrikaans. And I think that really made a huge impact on Afrikaans readers in the first place. And it was serialized, the novel, in the Sunday paper Rapport. And so it reached a massive audience. And that was one of the reasons I think it was so important.
Professor, I am going to have to leave it there, but I really do appreciate the outline, and thank you so much for joining us. The death of South African author Elsa Joubert. She was 97, dying due to COVID-related causes, and that was Professor Willie Burger, Professor of Afrikaans Literature, Media and Cultural Studies at the University of Pretoria.